I think that when the eye test and the data match, it's usually kind of easy. But they use it to monitor restarts and everything like that. So it's they're always monitoring that stuff.
Denny, if one driver taking out another driver is in grounds for NASCAR to deny a waiver request, then effectively what kind of punishment is a one-race suspension?
Well, I think it's probably more significant in Chase's scenario just because he missed earlier races, but they're a team that probably will win. It won't make a whole lot of difference, but I think it just depends on the driver. It's more severe depending on kind of how your season's going to that point.
Gabe Hart said he was in the simulator with you this week. He said that you were sore, especially being in a situation where you had a driver with a career-ending injury, with contact with this new car and how dangerous it is. Does this kind of make it more of something that you advocate for, drivers not being that aggressive?
Yeah, I mean, it's, certainly yes is the answer. I mean, it was hard. It was a hard week for sure. And, I'm still not all the way back, but I'm going to race and, be fine tomorrow. And, but certainly it's just too much at stake. And I think that is ultimately why, the penalties have been as harsh as they have in these circumstances.
Do you feel the waiver policy NASCAR has now is too lenient, or do you feel like they have it right with how many they've been handing out lately?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when anyone's had a denial of a waiver, but there's always different circumstances, so you just don't know. I understand what it was designed around. That way you don't race part-time. So in that spirit of the rule, then you would think waivers should be given out no matter what, as long as the driver intends to race full-time.
Did the brace, they removed a brace from the front club, and I assume that kind of impacted the way your car collapsed. Have you looked at that at all, and are you happy or concerned as far as the change to the car and what it did?
Well, I mean, I haven't had a severe head-on like that in the next gen. I've had, the second hardest one was at Daytona. Definitely the two hardest hits that JGR's cars have had since the next gen, but that was the first head-on one that I've had, and so it's hard for me to distinguish whether it was better or worse or not, but certainly I'm thankful that, given, the severity of the impact, that, I'm racing this week for sure.
Do you know what the G's were?
I don't know. I know the Delta V was super high.
What was your thoughts on the penalty hand to SHR and the fact that the team, them finding the team using a counterfeit part?
Yeah, I mean, I think that as a car owner, I certainly support it. It's kind of what they said to us, a long time ago about, parts on the car, and it was. This is what the model's based off of. We have to start designing our own parts. The model's already tough as it is, but I support any time that, whether a mistake or not, if there's something a part on the car that's not original, then certainly penalties should be super heavy.
In terms of the impact of the suspension, how significant is it that, your sponsor expects you in the car this week, not a replacement driver, but you. How significant is that?
For me, because of an injury, or them because of suspension?
Under any case, but specifically for a behavioral deal like Chase is dealing with it.
Like your driver had last season.
Right. Yeah, listen, it's not easy, for sure. I publicly reprimanded Bubba for those actions last year. Go back, and I thought it was absolutely unacceptable, and, we were very public as a race team on what we thought about that move. But certainly we had to have a lot of tough conversations with sponsors about that, and obviously I think it's part of Bubba's learning experience as a driver. So hopefully we all learn from it.
Bubba seems to be in a much better place these days.
Yes, he is. He's racing well, and I think if they can get the first half of the races running as good as they do in the second half, then that team certainly could contend for wins on a pretty regular basis. They're already putting themselves in the conversation, so I'm very happy with where they're at.
Did you have any conversations at all with Chase in the last week, or texts or anything?
I did, yeah.
Can you see him?
I think we both want to keep it private. I think it's probably more appropriate for you guys to ask him when he comes back.
Do you think there's any remorse on his part?
I think so, but I think probably should ask him or someone at Hendrick.
Denny, I was at California when you ended up in the hospital because, I mean, you've had chronic back issues, and this is another situation that could have knocked you out. I mean,
all it did, I told my team, all it did is remind me, that, man, I'm not built for these types of impacts, many of them in a row, that's for sure. It was certainly a tough week, so I don't want to do many more of these, that's for sure.